Hello everyone, you are on the channel Scary Story. Tonight I want to take you to a place usually associated with quiet study and the smell of old paper, but for one young student, it became a place of absolute terror. Settle in, turn down the lights, and let's journey into the heart of the old Atherton Library. Leo was a history major, the kind of student who found more comfort in the dusty silence of a library than anywhere else. The Atherton Library was his sanctuary. It was an old Gothic-style building, a relic from a bygone era, with towering shelves that seemed to scrape the vaulted ceilings and narrow, winding aisles that felt like a labyrinth. Most students preferred the modern, well-lit campus library, leaving Atherton almost deserted, especially at night. For Leo, this was perfect. He could study for his finals in blissful solitude. One rainy Tuesday night, Leo was deep into a book about medieval folklore. The library was scheduled to close at 10 p.m., and he was the only soul left, aside from Mr. Abernathy, the elderly librarian who had worked there for what seemed like centuries. The rhythmic drumming of the rain against the tall, arched windows and the occasional distant thunder were the only sounds. At around 9:45 p.m., a particularly loud clap of thunder rattled the windows, making Leo jump. He looked up, his eyes scanning the vast, shadowed hall. That's when he first saw it. At the far end of the main reading room, standing in the deep shadows between two towering bookshelves, was a figure. It was tall and unnaturally thin, draped in what looked like an old, dark coat. Its face was obscured by the gloom, but Leo felt a pair of unseen eyes fixed on him. He blinked, thinking it was just a trick of the light, a play of shadows created by the storm. He rubbed his eyes and looked again. It was gone. Shaking his head, he dismissed it as a product of a tired, caffeine-fueled mind. He packed his bag, eager to get home. As he walked toward the exit, a strange feeling washed over him. A cold, prickling sensation on the back of his neck, the kind you get when you know you're being watched. He stopped and slowly turned around. The main hall was empty, a cavern of silence and shadows. He hurried to the front desk. Mr. Abernathy was there, looking pale. "Everything all right, Mr. Abernathy?" Leo asked. The old man just nodded slowly, his eyes wide. "Just the storm, son. It rattles these old walls. Be safe on your way home." Leo thought his response was a bit odd, but he didn't press. The next night, Leo returned. He needed to finish his research, and the strange sighting from the night before had been mostly forgotten, dismissed as a figment of his imagination. He found his usual spot in a secluded carrel on the second floor, a mezzanine that overlooked the main hall. For a few hours, everything was normal. The library was its usual quiet self. But as the clock neared 10 p.m. again, the unsettling feeling returned. He felt a sudden, intense chill, despite the stuffy air. He looked up from his book and peered over the railing down into the main hall. There it was again. The same tall, slender figure standing in the exact same spot as the night before. This time, it was slightly more visible in the dim light. It wasn't moving. It was just standing there, a silent sentinel in the gloom. Leo's heart began to pound in his chest. This was not his imagination. He ducked back into his carrel, his mind racing. Who could it be? A homeless person seeking shelter? A prankster? He cautiously peeked over the railing again. The figure was gone, vanished into thin air just like before. Leo packed his things in a frenzy, his hands trembling. He couldn't stay here a moment longer. As he rushed down the grand central staircase, he heard a sound that froze him in place. It was a soft, dragging noise coming from the aisle to his right. A slow, rhythmic shh scrape, shh scrape, like something heavy being pulled across the old wooden floor. He held his breath, listening. The sound stopped. Leo's curiosity warred with his fear. Taking a deep breath, he crept to the end of the aisle and peered around the corner. The aisle was empty. But on the floor, he saw something that made his blood run cold. A long, dark line was scraped into the polished wood, as if something with a sharp edge had been dragged from one end of the aisle to the other. And at the far end, near the wall, a book lay open on the floor. It wasn't there before. Driven by a morbid curiosity, he slowly walked towards it, As he got closer, he saw that the pages were filled with frantic, spidery handwriting, not printed text. It looked like an old diary. He knelt down and read the last entry, dated almost 100 years ago. It read, "He is always here. He watches from the shadows. He never leaves. They called me mad, but I see him, the tall man, the one who collects overdue souls, not overdue books. He has no face, only hunger. I have seen him take others. Now, he comes for me. My time is up." Suddenly, the lights in the library flickered and went out, plunging him into absolute darkness. The only light was the faint glow from the emergency exit sign far across the hall. Panic seized him. He scrambled to his feet, his heart hammering against his ribs. And then he heard it again, the dragging sound. Shh, scrape. But this time, it wasn't in a nearby aisle. It was right behind him. Leo didn't dare to turn around, he just ran. He sprinted through the darkness, bumping into tables and chairs. His only guide, the faint red glow of the exit sign. The scraping sound grew louder, closer, echoing in the vast, dark space. It sounded like it was gaining on him. He could feel a cold breath on his neck, a sense of an immense presence just inches away. He burst through the main doors, gasping for the cold night air, not stopping until he was halfway across the campus lawn. He turned back, his chest heaving, and stared at the dark, imposing silhouette of the Atherton Library. In one of the high arched windows on the second floor, he saw it. A tall, thin figure standing perfectly still, its form silhouetted against the faint moonlight. It seemed to be looking right at him. Leo never went back to the old library. He switched his major, dropped his classes, and did everything he could to forget that night. But some nights when he closes his eyes, he can still hear it, that slow, dragging sound. And he knows with chilling certainty that the tall man is still there, waiting in the shadows, collecting what is long overdue. Thanks for listening to tonight's story. I hope it gave you a good scare. Remember to stay out of empty libraries at night. You never know who or what might be browsing the aisles with you. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next descent into the dark. Until next time, stay safe and sleep well.